I have a couple of traditions. One of them is that every year on my birthday, I like to spend all day working on my motorcycle. And this year, I also happen to be going through a breakup. And every time I get a breakup, I get a new bike. That's kind of been a going trend for me for a while. So let me introduce you to the 1982 Honda XL 185. This bike has actually never been road registered. It's had two owners, and since new, it's only been driven off-road at a farm. So it's got a few damages and quirks, mainly from being driven through the bush a bunch, and of course, it's been sitting for a long time. So we've got carburetor work, we've got some stiff cables, the chain is a disaster, and I want to get this all tickety boot up because the reason I like this bike is because this bike is small enough that I can load it into the dinghy and carry it on my boat. Yeah, it's gonna be sick. So, as much as I love the Surons and all of their competitors, and I do really want to get an electric dirt bike eventually, this will do for now. And this is a hell of a lot cheaper. So this is what we're gonna do. Till I get some go crazy money to do that kind of electric stuff, we're just gonna focus carburetors, exhausts, gas stuff. Yeah? Is that the bike for you? Is that the bike for you? We'll get a little dog bed right back here. You and me, we can go ride. We can go ride. I don't know how this became a birthday tradition, but I really just love spending my birthday on my own in my shop with a motorbike. It's a very zen state for me, and especially knowing that it's not critical to anything, I can really get in and enjoy it. So you may be asking two questions. Ooh. One is, hey, I didn't know you were dating somebody. Yeah, I've been through now, this would be 3 relationships on YouTube since I started my YouTube channel, and each one has been very, very different. This time, because of the nature of the relationship, I felt it was best to keep it off of YouTube, and I don't know that worked for me, but here we go. Something I did. It was all right. But it's a bit of a negotiation in dealing with a relationship and with YouTube at the same time. The other question you might be asking is, hey, why are you getting a motorcycle? I thought you were a boat guy. Yeah, the motorcycle guys will understand this. Always need more bike. But around here, there is a ton of logging trails and that kind of thing. And the kinds of waters I'd like to go sail in the very near future, that is a very prevalent thing. And having transport to get to some of the more out-of-the-way places is going to be a huge asset. Now, most people can't fit a motorcycle on their sailboat. That's super weird. But I can, and so I will. Okay, well I just did my first little test. We got fresh gas in the tank. I opened up the petcock and within a few seconds it was pissing out the overflow. So that means the float bowl valve is still not working or not sealing properly. It may be that the float is not bent in just the right position and I'm getting just too much gas in, or it could be what's happened to me before is the O-ring around the brass tube that the float bowl valve fits inside of, that often fails. And I've got plenty of O-rings around, but the problem with it is I went to go look at just replacing that while I had it out earlier, and it's already seated in like fully, and I don't know how the hell I would get it out without marring it up really badly, if I could even do it. So anyway, we're gonna pop it open and see if hopefully it's just the float that I can bend and get it to seat at the right place, and I'll actually test it this time with compressed air, which I should have done in the first place, but here we are. Okay, let's do it. All right, attempt number 2. It's still pretty early in the day, and I just plumbed it all up, and instead of putting it all back together, I decided, hey, I should check it, and sure enough, it's still leaking. So I bent the float bowl valve and I tested it with the air, and it seemed to work, but it's still leaking. Maybe I need a better tester. I really hope it's not that O-ring, because I'm pretty sure I'm never getting that out. All right, so instead of reinstalling it after bending the float bowl floats again, far more aggressively this time, I kind of set it so that right at the bottom, like the secondary set of jets could just barely touch the fluid, hopefully, if they're floating the way that I think they should be floating. Anyway, I did a test right here at the bench instead of reinstalling it on the bike, and just put the tank on the bench, hung the carburetor underneath it, filled it up, and sure enough, it finally held. And then I drained the bowl just to ensure that there was actually enough fluid in the bowl to run it, because I did bend it very aggressively and I wasn't sure about that. And yeah, it seems to have quite a lot. I'd say a full ounce of gasoline, if not more. So for a small engine like that, that's more than enough. I'm guessing. Anyway, let's get it crammed back in the bike. Let's fire it up and let's go for a rip. All right, well, I'm at a loss because worked perfectly well in the test bench. Now it doesn't. It's just pissing out the fluid again. There's no extra tubes connected to it, no anything that would be causing this. It's just happening. So, I don't know. I'm gonna have a beer, think about it, and then take it all apart and do it all over again. But 5th time's a charm, right? All right, well, the advantage to going this bike over any other is that it is incredibly simple. 1982 Honda doesn't get much simpler than that. But don't underestimate my ability to complicate a simple thing. That being said, I don't understand why I worked on the bench and not on the bike. That's a weird one.
Oh, what do you got going on there?
Okay, I have a beer-fueled idea that maybe because the bike is on a kickstand and slightly over, that I didn't bend it just enough. Like, it works while it was upright at the bench, but as soon as it's leaned over just a little bit, those couple degrees makes all the difference. Maybe. That's the going theory. So I'm going to pull it back out. I'm going to set up a test bench there with a little bit more equipment this time, and we'll test it on an angle and see if we can kind of dial that in. Alright, I think I might have figured this out. I've made a very stupid mistake, and that's why it's not working. So, see that there are 2 inlets here. There's one right here, and there's one brass one right up here. Now, this hose was already, when I got the bike, plugged into the non-brass one. And of course, I think, judging by, it's hard to tell because I can't see inside the chambers and stuff and where everything goes, but it looks to me like that was some sort of vacuum line, and I had the fuel fill going to a vacuum line instead of to the float bowl valve. Which would make sense, except for that I tested. Oh, but did I test it on the wrong hose the whole time? Am I big dumb? Big dumb. All right, hold on. Let's put it on here. There's a quick way to test this. Put this on here. Yep. I'm big dumb. I am big dumb. That was it. That was it the whole time. Well, you live and you learn, right? 36 now. I learned another thing. The good news is I'm quite high off the smell of gasoline fumes up in this place. It is reeking like gas. Gas is absolutely everywhere. So maybe no 37th birthday, depending on how this goes. Carburetors are for losers. Losers. The throttle's stuck. Very, very sweaty now. The carburetor doesn't seem to work. It's not flooding anymore, which is great. But even though I set the idle jets, air, and fuel to the exact parameters in the manual, won't idle worth shit. And I've checked it for other vacuum leaks and I can't find any. But I'm sure I'm missing something. On top of that, it seems that the clutch no longer works. It's either seized or something, but every time I pop it into gear, it just stalls and kills the engine. Okay, I have an idea. Basically, the clutch plates are fused, so even if I release the spring, squeezing those clutch plates together, they're still going to stick, and that's why the bike dies every time I put it into gear, despite grabbing the clutch lever. So, I'm going to rev the tits out of the engine, and then have the clutch lever in and slam it into first, and either it will fly out from underneath me and do a complete wheelie somersault, or I'll break those clutch plates loose and everything will be just dandy. So you just sit right here and we'll find out which is which in a second. Alright, end of the day. We did finally get it. Here we go. On. Warm already. Mint. This thing has an air screw and a fuel screw, so you have to adjust both, and that kind of adjusts the idle speed. You're gonna dial it in exactly where you want it. I might be just a little lower than I need to be. I was trying to get it nice and low. There we go, just a tiny bit. See, that one right there is your air screw, and that one right there. That's your fuel screw. Even though most of my friends are up in Desolation Sound right now, Aaron and Ed decided there's no way I'm spending my birthday dinner by myself. So they came over and cooked me an absolute feast. Look at this stuff. These guys are great.
Yeah.
Oh my god, it looks so good. Had a great birthday. I'm really grateful for my friends. And really grateful for this boat. 36 is going to be a great year for me. And feel it already. Let's get down to epoxying in some scarf beams. Well, the back deck isn't totally done yet, but hopefully today we'll get a lot closer to getting that finished. I spent last night, I just washed this mattress. I got this thing secondhand, so turns out you can actually wash foam mattresses pretty damn well. I used a little bit of laundry detergent mixed in with some OxyClean and boiling hot water and sprayed it all in, and then used a ton of water to get it all back out again. But my God, did that mattress ever come out clean. Also scrubbed the snot out of it. But yeah, I spent last night sleeping out on deck. The dew was pretty bad because the wind died off completely. But, you know, you cover yourself in enough blankets and you're good to go. Sleeping under the stars is one of life's few perfect pleasures. I absolutely loved it. Anyway, let's get back to work. Before I can finish these beam scarves, I have to do some patches to the bulkhead and an entire replacement on the port side. But the beams themselves, I'm reusing some of the stock from the previous beams that were in the back cabin before I ripped it all to pieces. So it's the same mahogany that's in the rest of the beam, and it's just as strong, although the thickness isn't always the same and the sizes aren't always the same. So it's always a little bit of adjustment and getting it into the right place. Plus I then need to cantilever that whole center deck up just, you know, a ½ inch and push it back up into place because it's sagged a little bit. It's warm in here. Here's the rotten bulkhead. I'm really glad I got it out in one piece. It made patterning a lot easier, but the struggle of getting this thing back into place was something special. Well, we get it in and we get it fastened, but we also have to coat everything in epoxy so it doesn't rot, and then splooge the ever-living snot out of it. Get all those fillets done so that when I go and do the tabbing with the fiberglass, it'll go on nice and smooth and make a nice strong piece of the hull. Oh, and I'm really sorry about this, but gross. Okay, hot as Hades in here. But we had to get these bulkheads patched up and done before the last of the beams can go on in. And now we've got the last of the beams in. So that means the next thing is that little patch of deck, which will happen next week, I guess, because I am running out of steam and I have to get this episode out to you guys. Yeah, it's been an interesting week. 36. It's going to be a good year. It's going to have a lot of changes. And I'm going to be a sailor, finally. So, I'm into that. I'll see you guys next week.